We are here today with the one and only Supes, man.
Yes,
Little brother, how are you doing?
I am doing amazing, man. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Ready to rock and roll, man. Let's get it. I know you got so many gems, man, to get, so let's just jump into it, man. Let's start kind of from the beginning. Everybody knows you, Supes, man. One of the biggest TikTok accounts, making all these type of content, partnering up with all these major brands and everything with superheroes, right? Mm-hmm. Where did this fascination from superheroes come from? Like, was it something you read as a kid? Was it a movie you watched? Like, where did this fascination even come from?
So for me, my passion for superheroes literally started before I could even walk. I mean, I was in my crib and my grandfather and my grandparents and my family was showing me the old Christopher Reeve Superman movies and the Michael Keaton Batman films. And then as a kid, I grew up loving like the animated shows of the superheroes, and then we got to like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and now superheroes are a staple to our culture, and it's come such a long way. But for me, my passion for superheroes really kind of exploded when it helped me in my personal life. You know, I was born just extremely different. I was born with a condition that doctors at that point in time couldn't even identify. My parents took me around the world because I was born differently, and again, the doctors didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then, I grew up in school in an environment where you're picked on for being different, where you're bullied, where you're judged. And growing up as a kid, I was always insecure about the way I looked, about who I was. And I was always chasing validation of other people. But then there came a day where I was watching the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. And at the end of the movie, he's walking away and he says, "This is my gift. This is my curse. I am Spider-Man." And the way he said it just stuck with me, because my entire life I had been viewing the things that make me different as a curse. And in that moment, I thought, this could be a gift. And if this were to be a gift, what is this gift for? And it's to be different. It's to stand out. And it's to stand out so like that I have a platform where people can listen to me and I can inspire them and I can change lives. And now I'm in a world where everyone's trying to stand out.
Yeah.
But I just do it because I'm born this way.
Right.
So then, kind of like that's how superheroes combined with just my personal life. And it's gotten me to the level of confidence and where I'm at now personally. And then, it's crazy because when I started creating content, it was just a crazy journey throughout my entire high school. When I first got to high school, especially here in Miami, when it comes to Hispanic families, education is the way out.
When did you first start creating content?
I started creating content my junior year of high school.
Got it.
And, kind of just like this whole journey kind of started more my freshman year of high school because, again, in Hispanic families, education is the way out. It's go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer. And my parents weren't telling me to go to school to become a doctor or a lawyer, but they were telling me to go to school. That's what's
we're going to tell you what to become, but you need to be in school.
Yeah, you got to be in school. You got to pursue that. And then, so going into my freshman year, I signed up for all of these advanced classes and I completely flunked all of them. It was just so much work, so much pressure from all of these outside external forces that it put me in a mind space where it was like, okay, what is the purpose of all of this?
Right.
What am I doing this for? What am I passionate about? And that's where I started the journey of finding out and discovering the thing that lights my soul on fire. So then, I dove deep into like entrepreneurship and the personal development industry. And when I was 15 years old, I put together my underwear money to go together and go see a Tony Robbins and Gary Vee event.
Yeah.
And that event completely changed my life because I was in a room sitting there as a 15-year-old kid, not knowing anything. I was sitting there in a room full of hundreds of people that were just so much older than me. And
what made you do that, man? Like, that's not you said that as if that's a small step, but like 15-year-olds is not thinking about, let me go to a seminar or let me go to a conference, right? They're thinking about, okay, let me get the brand new J's, or I could do a bunch of more things with this money, hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to go to these events, than to spend this to go to a seminar. What was in you that you're just like, I'm going to spend this money, I'm going to go to the seminar, and it's like, what made you make that decision?
So for me, it was exactly how you just said it. Not many kids are doing this. That's why I in my head, I viewed that as, all right, not many kids are doing this. So I'm going to be the only one that does.
Right.
And I showed up to this event, and what's crazy was that the event was 18 plus. At the time, I was 15 years old.
Right.
So I grew out the sorriest mustache, bro. Like, my facial hair was just coming in at that point in my life. I grew out the sorriest mustache.
Right.
And I was telling all my friends, like, guys, I look 18, right? I look 18. So I get to this event.
Oh man, they're like incognito, a small mustache. Like, he just looks suspicious. Like
exactly like that. I get to this event, and I sneak past security. I go through the check-in. They let me in, and I sit in my seat and I don't move because I'm like, if anyone questions me and I have to show ID, I'm done.
I don't want to get kicked out.
So I went to this event, man, and just sitting there absorbing all of the knowledge from Tony and Gary. Again, for me, all of the pain that I experienced as a child matured me.
Yeah.
That's why I am the way I am, because I went through so much pain that I had to learn how to cope with pain on my own. And, you know, I've dealt with pain in so many different ways, but I had to find a way where it was healthy for me.
Yeah.
And again, I got to this event, and then I was listening to Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, and it was finally like, wow, I'm looking at people that speak my language.
Yeah.
And then to be able to learn from them, it was just, that was like the beginning of
like
just
finding your tribe, man.
Yeah, it's like finding it. That's how it felt. And then after that, it was just like, okay, this isn't stopping. Like, this is school for me right here.
Right.
Not the BS that I go to 5 days a week and I spend 8 hours of my life in.
Right.
So this was school for me, and that's where I just completely dove deep into just like the whole personal development industry, continuing to learn and grow on my own. And, you know, something I'm very passionate about is just the whole education system.
Yeah.
And how it's a system. It's not catered to every single one of us. And each one of us are so different. We have so much to learn. We have so much that lights us on fire. And It's different for each of us. You know, for you, it's business, building companies, inspiring billions of people while doing so. For me, it's superheroes.
Yeah.
So after going to that event, you know, I just kind of followed what everyone else was doing at that event. Since I found my tribe, I was like, all right, so this is the way. So I'm going to start a business. I'm going to pursue building companies, and I'm going to invest, and I'm going to do all of this.
That's one of the biggest things that people who go to those events, that's one of the biggest downfalls of it, right? It's amazing because you're getting the information, but a lot of people leave those events feeling like that I have to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Or entrepreneur looks like building a company. It looks like having multiple businesses, investing in real estate. Like, that's one of the biggest things. And so hearing you go through that, how did you kind of you were talking about how that was kind of the mindset that you started it with, right?
Yeah.
Where did it start to shift where you're just like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to look a certain way? Like, people get caught up in going to the normal education system is a standard, right? It's like you go to school, then you graduate in this. And in an eerie kind of sense, entrepreneurship could look like that same standard. It's like you become an entrepreneur, you build a company, you sell it, you get another company, you sell it, right? How did you deal with that yourself, of kind of taking on that mindset but then overcoming it?
So for me, the way I took on that mentality is, all right, I took action. I took action on my beliefs, and I said, all right, so I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to build companies. I'm going to invest. I'm going to do all of this.
Yeah.
I sat down in a chair. I put up a camera. I rearranged my entire room to have like a nice setup. And I was making the first video for a company that I was starting. And as soon as I hit play, I realized in that moment that I wasn't 100% passionate about it. I was passionate about inspiring people. I was passionate about building things that are going to change the world, but I wasn't passionate about what I was doing in that moment.
What was that company, by the way?
It was a company about personal development, about education.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely passionate about education, but at that point in my life, I was 99% passionate. And for me, if I'm 99% passionate about it, I'm not going to do it. So then my next question was, okay, what am I 100% passionate about?
Yeah.
And that's where it clicked for me. The thing that I've loved since before I could even walk. Yeah. I'm 100% passionate about superheroes. And that's where I took my knowledge from, just like personal development and learning how to create this life.
Yeah.
Because we're not put here to manage our circumstances. We're here to freaking create our lives.
Yeah.
And that's where I took my knowledge for creation and combined it with my passion for superheroes. And now I'm able to make a successful living at 19 years old talking about superheroes.
Yeah.
So
How much does superheroes play into the and I know it plays a major part, but what about it plays into the identity of who you are now? And when you speak to your audience, right? You have a massive audience. You have like 1.67 million followers on
Yeah.
Instagram. And I remember you came to me like a year ago. I think it was that Date with Destiny, maybe 2019 or something. But I remember maybe on a phone call, whatever, but you're like, yeah, I'm starting this TikTok thing. And I think at that time you may have like 5 or 10K followers, right? And it's like a year later, you have almost 2 million followers, right?
yeah.
How much does superheroes play into your messaging of not just talking about them, right? It's not just talking about Spider-Man or talking to it, but it's really people finding their identity in these superheroes and shifting their identities to it's like they're their own superheroes. How much does that kind of that mindset of incorporating superheroes with your identity, how much of an influence does that have, and how much does that get channeled through when you're speaking with your audience and the message that you want to leave for them?
Of course. So for me, again, I've loved superheroes since before I could even walk. So like, as a kid, I would run around the house in like oversized superhero costumes saying, when I grow up, I want to be a superhero.
Right.
Now, at that point in my life, I didn't think it was possible, but that's exactly what I am to a lot of people today, because I've been able to just be so vulnerable with my audience, just sharing my struggles, sharing the things that I went through. And now they view me as a superhero. And now when kids go up to their parents saying, Mom, Pop, I want to create content on the internet based on my passion. And look, this kid did it at 19 years old, at 18 years old.
Yeah.
Now I'm that superhero for them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How do you define a superhero?
So for me, I define a superhero as someone who's willing to devote their life to the greater good of giving to mankind and to giving to this world. That's what I perceive as a superhero. And again, it doesn't always have to be, starting a charity, donating $1 million. It can start by saying, hey, Kavon, you have a really nice smile.
Thank you.
There we go.
No, seriously though.
And it starts with the small things, man, because again, we're all caught up in the big things because we're conditioned to think big and to dream big. But it's the small things that have the biggest impact, really.
Man, that's amazing. And it's like when you put it into that perspective, now I can see your messaging that we're all superheroes. That is like each person is a superhero in themselves because we can each commit. Go ahead.
Yeah, and dude, there was this poster for the Superman movie, and I have it framed up in my room, and it inspires me every single day. And it's a picture of Superman in handcuffs, and you have the police walking him down a hallway in handcuffs. And I feel like in so many ways, aren't we all this version of Superman? I mean, we are all superheroes. There's no doubt about it. We all have the power to create our lives, to make such an impact. But many of us are walking around with handcuffs when we're Superman. So it's only until we can really look at our problems and the things that hold us back, the limiting beliefs, it's really when we can just address those head on and find the solution that we can break free of those handcuffs and become the superhero we were meant to be. The superhero we always were.
Yeah.
Because it's not about becoming something. It's about staying true to who you are.
Man, and it's not even, it takes me back to when I was in jail when you just said that, was that I used to say in jail, I used to journal every morning, right? And just read books and journal. And I remember a guard coming in because we weren't allowed to be out on the tables before like a certain time, right? It's like before like 8:30 in the morning, you have to be on your bunk, right? But it was like a little it was like a table that I'll always just go and like journal on, right? So guard came in, he was cool. I remember him saying, he was like, you know what, Kavon, he was like, what are you doing? Are you rapping or something? Are you a rapper? Because like everybody in jail that's writing, they gotta be writing a rap. I'm black, right? I'm in jail, like I gotta be a rapper, right? It was a white guard, but he didn't mean any harm by it when he said it. I was like, no, I journal, I read. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, you guys have me physically locked up, but my mind is free. He was like, what did you just say? I was like, yeah, you guys have me physically locked up, but like my mind is free. I'm not even here right now. And then he was like, you shouldn't be in here. Like, I never heard anybody say anything like that. You shouldn't be in here. And the analogy that you just used was Superman, that, we each are Superman. And seeing him in handcuffs is like we each are our own super person, hero, and we have our own handcuffs on. And that picture is physical handcuffs for Superman, but for each person, it's mental
Exactly.
handcuffs. And one of the biggest things I saw when I was in jail, when I got out, I was like, you know, I'm entering a world now to where everybody's physically free, but like mentally locked up.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. And it's worse than being physically locked up. When you're physically locked up, you know it. Like you consciously know that, like, okay, I'm in here, I'm physically locked up, I may be in jail for the next year or something, right?
Yeah.
But when you're mentally locked up, you go to your grave sometimes, never really understanding that. How do you help people break out of those handcuffs? How do you use your platform to help people break out of those handcuffs that they're experiencing right now in their life?
So for me, the answer is always action. So I encourage people, I influence people to take action. You know, life is so damn short. And if life is really is this short, we shouldn't be living it for ourselves. We should be living it for other people, living to serve other people, because that's the best way to serve yourself, when you're in service of the world, of other people. So taking action, and you know, I get some DMs all the time with people saying like, hey Supes, I watched this video and it inspired me to do this for this person. And now, you know, I feel so amazing. And then after that, it becomes a compound effect. It becomes a compound effect. Now it's the next person and the next person. And that's how you change the world, man. It doesn't start by having 1 million followers on TikTok. It starts by looking at one person. And that's really how I've been able to garnish an audience. It's by giving to one person. And then if you really give so much to that person and they really feel that value and they understand it and they apply it, then it works for them. And then they tell another person, hey, I know the Supes guy, he's awesome, you should watch him. And that's how I have the following I have, by just giving to the people that are interested in watching. And then that grows exponentially over time.
Wow. Give it to one person. It's an amazing concept, because people look at it as the full goal, 1 million followers, 2-3 million followers. And it's like, you have a loyal fan base to where people change their profile picture. People literally have their profile picture as like your icon emblem Supes.
Yeah.
Like you go to your comments and it's like people have the same profile picture that you have, right? You know, I was gonna ask you why, but now I see it. It's because pouring into one person after another, after another, after another.
Yeah. And you know, again, this life isn't just for ourselves, it's for so many other people. So for me, the Supes identity, I'm not just Supes. We are Supes. We can show up every single day with a fire inside our soul, ready to serve mankind. And that's what Supes is all about. That's what this brand is all about. And that's why you have people with that profile pic, because they're themselves, they're letting that superhero out and they're serving the world. And it's just so awesome to see, like, just the feedback on social media. So many people doing so many amazing things.
Did you imagine that it would get to this level that you're on now when you originally created this?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%.
Why?
I just had so much certainty in my system because I was passionate about this. And when you have so much emotion in you, when it's going to a certain goal or a certain desire, it's so easy to see it so perfectly. You know, Walt Disney saw Disney World before it was even Disney World.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige, who's the president of Marvel, he saw this entire universe of movies and shows and games. He saw all of this before it was even a thing. Stan Lee saw Spider-Man, the Avengers, all these characters being icons to our culture before they even were.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, when I was first starting out, I was just so passionate about it that it's inexplainable of how passionate I was. I mean, at that point in my life, I was still in school. I was working a job. So like I literally got out of school, went to work. Then by the time I got home, I still had homework to do. And then on the weekends, I was working in construction.
Yeah.
So for me,
so you got a full schedule.
My operating time was from like 8 o'clock at night to like midnight, and then waking up from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. before school to like continue filming.
So wait, real quick, you'll wake up at 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Wait, hold on.
And it wasn't
like three. Like
it wasn't like my alarm clock was ringing and I was like, oh, I gotta wake up. It was like, let's go. We're ready to rock and roll. Let's go.
Every time.
Every single time. And again, like when you find that one thing, and that's one thing I encourage to everyone. It's to find that thing, to find your purpose. Because when you have purpose driven behind something, it's like you're on cloud nine, like you're living on cloud nine. Like, again,
when you have that much passion and purpose to where you're waking up at 3 a.m.
And that's the thing, man. Like people look at it on the outside like, dude, what are you doing? Waking up at 3 a.m. I'm like, I'm living my best life.
I'm chilling.
I'm waking up to live.
This is fulfillment.
This is breathing for me.
That is people could see. I always love seeing the behind the scenes, right? Because people could see the things on the forefront of Supes. He has this many X amount of followers, this success, but it's like people don't see that 3 a.m. grind.
Dude, and what's crazy is that, like, again, I was still in school, so I was like still like locked up. But
right,
you know, I was in school, and then like there was like trailers dropping for like upcoming movies. So in my head, I'm like, all right, again, at that point, I wasn't a full-time content creator doing this for a living, but at that point in my life, I was like, I can be.
Yeah,
I can be. You know, it was funny because my school was like a college prep school. So like they would sit down every single student and be like, what college are you going to?
Right.
And then my turn came and they walked me in. And at that point, I barely had any followers on social media. I had like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they walked me in and they were like, Matthew, so what college are you going to? And then I looked them all straight in the face with certainty and I said, I'm not going to college. I'm doing this, this, and this. I literally brought out a report of the numbers that I was generating. I brought out like my plan. And just in that 10-minute meeting, I was like, guys, I respect you enough that I'm telling you guys my dream and my vision. I'm not going to college. It's just not for me. But if you can respect my vision, then that would be greatly appreciated. And if not, well then I'm so sorry. And then at that point, my teacher and my principal looked me in the eye and they were like, it's okay, Matthew. We believe in you.
Wow.
We believe you. Every single other kid in my grade was walking in there telling them, I'm going to this college to pursue this. And the thing is that the majority of kids in high school are doing that, but it's not their dream.
So what do you say to somebody out there right now that is in high school and college that just signing up for classes because that's what they feel like they have to do, that's trying to like find themselves in that?
So my first question is, what do you really want out of this life? That's number one. You ask kids that question and they don't know. And that's step one, knowing what you want. The how is later. Know what you want. Because if you know what you want and you know why you want it, then the how is irrelevant because you're going to make a way. If there's not a way, you're going to make one. So that come from finding out what you want starts by trying different things.
Yeah.
You know, so many kids in high school are focused on having fun, going to parties, drinking, smoking. But that's just time that you have to just dive deep into what you really want out of life. And, you know, if it carries over into adulthood because so many kids waste that time in high school where they have so much time to just discover what their life's going to be about, who they are, what they really want out of all of this. Because they waste that time, then they go into adulthood and it becomes a routine to just tackle everything that's in their day. School, job. If you're a parent, you have kids.
Yeah.
And then they live this entire life not knowing what they really wanted. And they just settle for the bare minimum. When all along they were walking around as Superman, they just had their handcuffs on. And they never had the opportunity to break off the handcuffs and live this life at the highest potential.
Yeah. What was your mom saying the whole time? While you're waking up at 3, 6, right? She looks down the hallway, the lights underneath the door. She's like, what is your mom saying throughout this whole process?
So at first it was worry. And I don't blame her because if you're a parent, especially coming from like the Hispanic community, if you're a parent and your son is telling you he's not going to go to college and he's going to wake up every day and make a living talking about superheroes, I would hope she would be worried at some point.
Right.
So it was all worry at the beginning, but then she saw the action and the passion and the burning fire inside my soul every single day to do this.
Yeah.
That she, because I had so much certainty in myself, that's where the certainty from my mom and my parents, that's where that was born.
Yeah.
Because, when you start off and no one believes in you, and that's the thing, that when we all start off and we have these visions and goals, no one believes in us. Because they're so big, and it should be that way.
Right.
Because the goal is to do the impossible. The goal is to do what no one thinks you can.
Yeah.
So at that point, no one believed in me. And then, again, as time went on, as the numbers got bigger, certainty was built up in all of the people that were shunning me, saying no.
Yeah. That's how I tell people, first they tell you why you won't be successful doing what you want to do. And they tell you that you're crazy, right? Then when you do what you said you were going to do, then they come back and tell you how they always believed in you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's like the process that, that vision, like you just said. And I'm so happy that you just said that, because what you just said was, it wasn't meant for your mom to believe in and see your vision how you saw it. A lot of times people think that their family members, their friends have to see the vision that they see.
Yeah.
That if they don't see it, then, I'm doing something wrong. I shouldn't do it. Nobody believes in me, so why should I do it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you just said, it's so big and it's so specific to you that it's not for everybody else. Mm-hmm. God, the universe, they didn't give that vision to your mom. They didn't give it to your brother. They didn't give it to your best friend in high school, right? God gave that vision to you. And I'm a firm believer that God doesn't give us a vision that we don't have the power within us to bring it to fruition. You just wouldn't have that vision. That's why everybody doesn't have the same vision,
Yeah.
So if you specifically have that vision, then that means that you have the power within you to bring that vision out into fruition. If you don't get stopped by the outside environments and outside influences telling you why you're crazy and why you didn't, and why you shouldn't do that,
Yeah. And one of the biggest things, again, about my entire journey is just the passion behind it. Because I had all these forces kind of shunning me, not believing me. Yeah. I was being judged. I lost, pretty much like all of my friends in my school. I had like 2 friends and they stuck with me and they're still with me to this day.
Yeah.
But I lost so many people in my life because I was pursuing this passion. And it was because it was like something that no one else in my community was doing. So, again, I didn't even think twice about the hate and the judgment because I was so focused on my goal and my passion. I don't have to push myself because my passion is pulling me. And when my passion is pulling me, then it's inevitable. It's out of my hands.
It's bigger than you.
Exactly.
I want you to take note of that. I don't have to push myself because my passion, my vision, my goal pulls me. Mm-hmm. That's such a powerful statement. So it's about having a passion that's big enough, a goal that's big enough to where it wakes you up at 3 a.m. You hear people say these things, but then when you look behind the curtains of people who are actually successful doing it, it's because they're living these things. Like you just said, I didn't have to set an alarm clock like, I got to get up, man. It's 3 o'clock. Let me do 3. Like you woke up because you had such a fire and passion within you to make that content happen. That's so beautiful. What difference is it that you want to leave on this world? What difference do you want to leave?
So for me, the biggest difference I want to leave in people is just inspiring them to really look deep within themselves and find that superhero. Because for me, I look back to my pictures as a kid, and I was always that kid who was just dressing up in superhero costumes saying, I want to be a superhero. And at some point when we're all kids, we're all ambitious. We don't think twice about what the world's going to think of our dreams and our visions. We say, I want to go to the moon. And then as we grow, as we immerse ourselves into the real world, we let the outside world kill those dreams.
Yeah.
But for me, the way I see it is it's my job now to protect that same little kid that was saying that he wants to be a superhero when he grows up. And that's all it is for me, man. It's literally just protecting that and using that to truly become a superhero of my own, so like that I can inspire other people and inspire other people to look deep within themselves and find that superhero.
Yeah.
To protect that little kid. And when you're a little kid, again, like, you have no worries in the world. Obviously, when you're an adult, there's a lot more things to stress about, but it's important that we all go back to being that little kid.
Yeah.
Because that's where life is at its best.
That's so beautiful, man. And final question is that somebody's sitting out there right now and they don't know what their superpower is, right? And, you know, I'm a big believer and I talk about purpose a lot because to me, it's like once you find that purpose, then you know what you're here to do. You know what difference you are to make. And it's like I see how purpose and superheroes are so intertwined. And that's why I wanted to talk with you about this, is because you telling people to find their superpower is the same way I'm telling people to find their purpose. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody that is part of your audience right now, 16 years old, 20 years old, 30 years, however old they are, that is trying to find their superpower, but they don't know what it is?
So what I would say to someone who's right now at that point in their life where they don't know why they're here, why our creator put them here, the first thing I would say is to try different things. Again, we can't try if we don't taste. How can I know if I like burgers if I've never tasted burgers? How do I know if I like pizza if I've never tasted pizza? So the number one thing is to start tasting things, to start trying things. Look back in your life. What are the happiest moments of your life? And what do those moments consist of? What were you doing? Who were you with? Find the commonalities between all of those events, put it together, and find a purpose that's beyond you. A purpose that's bigger than you, a purpose to serve. Because when we serve, it's not about us. It's almost like it becomes like an out-of-body experience because, you know, we're living in our purpose. We're living in our power. And that's where it comes from. A passion that's catered to ourselves and our individual just likings, and then a purpose that's greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
And then once you have those two things and you combine passion and purpose, then again, everything moving forward becomes inevitable. It's not a question of if or when it's going to happen. It's a question of it's going to happen. Now it's just a matter of appreciating the time and grace and the faith of which God unfolds my life with.
Yeah. So beautiful, man. Listen, this has been an amazing conversation with you, man. And this passion behind you is obviously the driving force to how you've become successful the way you are. And I'm so happy that you were able to share that and people were able to see that, you know, to let people in on that, because you're radiant when you talk about it. You smile when you talk about it. You could just tell that it's who you are. So, little brother, I'm so proud of you from going from the 5 to 10K TikTokers to now almost 2 million followers. And you're going to even crush that and do so many more things in life because of that passion. So I'm grateful for having you, man. And
Thank you so
I'm
much.
excited to see the things that you create in this world, man.
Thank you so much. This is only the beginning for all of us, for the listeners watching, for me and Kavon. This is only the beginning. And if you're at that point in your life where you have those handcuffs on, it's time to question what are those handcuffs and then destroy them to live this life and become the superhero you always were.